It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
I'm Paul David. As always, it is great to have you in studio with us today. A couple of things for you real quick. A website is mentalhealthcoalitionvb.org. Phone number for Barbara Luttrell, our guest today, 6490135. Barbara is the president of the Mental Health Coalition Verde Valley. Welcome back, Barbara.
Thank you.
Always good to see you. And then Richard Dainert's in studio today. I haven't seen you for a couple of years.
Good morning.
Well, here you are. And Richard is the mental health first aid instructor from Spectrum Healthcare Group. So we're going to be talking about mental health. We've got some mental health classes coming up. I can say this. Mental health first aid classes are coming up. There's going to be one on July 7th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Sedona Public Library, and it's just a one-day class, right?
Correct.
Okay. Maybe we should start with the class. No, you know what? I wanted to start with, we've had you in here one other time, Barbara, to talk about the Mental Health Coalition Verde Valley. Let's start there. Refresh our memories on what that is in case anybody wants to jump on board with you guys on this.
Absolutely. The Mental Health Coalition Verde Valley is a all-volunteer organization. We've just recently become a 501c3, so we are now a nonprofit. And our goal, I have 185 subscribers to our email, and we have about 25 people who actually do a lot of the work for the programs that we do. And the Mental Health Coalition Verde Valley has as its goal to create a community that allows people and individuals and their families who are struggling with mental health and emotional issues to find a caring community where there is hope, there's help, and access to care and healing and overall the general support that comes about through having an educated community so that we can erase the stigma associated with any kind of mental health issues, as well as access to care and community support services. So we do education, advocacy, community support services.
How'd the group come about?
The group came about in 2013 when there was it's very interesting, it was a statewide conversation in 5 community colleges. It was broadcast from Phoenix. We had a group of about 35 in Yavapai College, and part of it was to talk about your local issues. And when the group talked about their local issues and then the program was over, it was like everyone could go home, that was it. And the group didn't want to, they wanted to do something. So we formed a steering committee. Richard was part of the original steering committee. And we met in my living room, and the Mental Health Coalition was born. And since then, we have grown. I can share with you a little later about the various programs that we have besides mental health first aid.
Okay.
But we have a board as well as a board of advisors. And we have programs throughout the year in order to educate the community and to work on various aspects of mental health.
Now, you say you do 6 classes a year. And
on mental health first aid.
On mental health first aid. And there's a limit to 24 people per class?
Correct.
For each one of them?
Yes.
Okay, and then you move them around the Verde Valley.
That's right.
Verde Valley or Yavapai County?
Nope, Verde Valley.
Okay.
We concentrate on this side of Mingus Mountain.
Okay.
And so we do them in Sedona, the village of Oak Creek, Clarkdale. We've done them in Camp Verde as well, and in Cottonwood.
Okay.
And so we try to make sure that we move them around the community in order to make them accessible to community members, local police departments, fire departments, and others who are interested in understanding. Well, the analogy that I use, and then I'll turn it over to Richard to share what actually happens, but the analogy that I use is many people are trained in CPR. So if you are trained in CPR, you learn what to look for, and if someone is having a heart attack, you know what action that helps keep that person alive. Well, when someone is having an emotional crisis, most of what to do, and so we tend to kind of try to like CPR for the mind.
Okay.
And so it really helps you to understand what to do in that kind of a situation.
That's a very good way to put that.
So it's a lot like CPR is for the heart.
Right, okay.
Here we're talking about a CPR kind of training for that. Okay?
I think that's a very good way to put that. Yeah,
That's
we do. A lot
it helps people understand it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because when it comes to emotional issues, and when someone in your house is having an emotional crisis, most of us don't really know what to do.
I would not
and how to handle it, and how not to escalate it. That's why police training is so good, because you want to de-escalate these kinds of situations. You don't want someone to end up hurt.
I would be sort of just stop it. Why are you so worried about that? Why are you freaking out about that? Just stop it and calm down.
Well, that's where Richard comes in.
That's where Richard comes in and says, Paul, don't you ever do that again.
Just get over it.
Yeah, get over it.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't work.
that doesn't work. Okay,
It's not helpful.
okay, tell me let's do this. Let's do this then. Okay, so yeah, we a lot of us do know CPR. We even know those defibrillators that you have in Uptown Sedona, where
Right.
those are there to open up, and if someone's having, you can resuscitate right there. So we've talked about those things too, but I don't think we've ever done something like this before on the show. So someone's having a mental health crisis, and I'm right there next to them. What do you do?
Well, the mental health first aid class, I think, is, I like to say that it helps people become conduits to care. A mental health first aider is trained to recognize the signs and symptoms that a mental health or substance use disorder may be developing, and they have the tools to engage the person that they're trying to help and to offer them information, reassurance about what's happening, and then to be able to encourage people to seek treatment and know how to do that and have the resources available in the community for treatment to be effective. And the earlier we intervene, the better the outcome. And so the idea of being able to recognize signs and symptoms, being able to give people the tools to help someone who's perhaps having a panic attack or in some sort of a mental health crisis, and then being sure that they get the appropriate professional help. And another part of it, I think, is to address the issue that you folks were alluding to, and that is people's lack of knowledge about mental illness. They don't know what it is, and they don't know how to respond to it. And so we try to teach people what mental illnesses are and how they impact people. We do a disability weights exercise where we compare the disabling aspects of a serious mental illness to the disabling aspects of a physical condition. Quadriplegia and schizophrenia are pretty close there in their disabling aspects,
Really?
affecting a person's ability to work, to engage in satisfying activities, the activities of daily living, really, and then to be able to have satisfying relationships. And so those three things are really affected not only by physical illnesses, but also by mental illnesses. And we attempt to help people understand that it is an illness, that, it's not, snap out of it is not going to be an effective way to help someone. And I think we also try to reduce stigma by having people be more knowledgeable about mental illness and less afraid of it, and being able to comfortably try to help someone who may be showing those signs and symptoms. So there's a lot to it.
I think Barbara's analogy there with the CPR, we all know that. And we've talked about this on numerous different shows here on Countywide. We have Al Cornell and talk about be prepared in case you get lost out in the woods or injured out in the woods. Firefighters come in, okay, make sure you have that escape plan out of your house, and where does the family meet once that happens. So it's all about being prepared and knowing how to handle a situation like that. So we've got to take our first break, okay? Mental health first aid classes coming up with the Mental Health Coalition Verde Valley President Barbara Luttrell in studio. Mental health first aid instructor from Spectrum Healthcare Group, Richard Daynard. Phone number 649-0135. Website is mentalhealthcoalitionvb.org. Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education, what are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That would be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you going to make of me?
No,
The Q102.9 plays all the hits.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Ariana Grande.
Maroon 5.
This is Rihanna.
I'm Shawn Mendes.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
Ed Sheeran.
What's up, guys? It's Justin Bieber.
You're listening to The Weeknd.
Start your day with Brian James in the morning. You'll get at least 10 songs in a row during your ride home with Julie Page.
Zach Sang Show.
Catch the Zach Sang Show weeknights 7 to midnight. And Kelly Fox weekends on your home for hit music. The Q102.9 and 104.9 in Prescott and Cottonwood.
Stand with me. Be drug-free.
Stand with me. Be drug-free.
To make a difference, we must stand together. Stand with me. Be drug-free. Supporting our families and listening to our teens.
Stand with me. Be drug-free.
Stand with me. Be drug-free.
We are all one. No one is immune.
Stand with me. Be drug-free.
Let's stand together for a healthier community.
Stand with me. Be drug-free.
Welcome back to Countywide. If you're interested in taking a mental health first aid class, it's going to be on July 7th at Sedona Public Library. I'm talking slower on purpose right now. From 8 to 5. The phone number is 649-0135, and the website is mentalhealthcoalitionbb.org. Well, let's talk about this little guy right here.
That's Algie.
Algie. Okay.
And his name is spelled A-L-G-E-E, and he's a koala, which is appropriate since mental health first aid was originally devised in Australia.
No, no kidding.
right.
Okay.
A couple of university professors who were in the behavioral health field, and they realized that there were vast parts of the outback where there was no immediate professional help available.
Oh, be darned.
And so they thought it would be a good idea to teach people mental health first aid. And of course, as with all first aid plans, there's an action plan, and their mnemonic device to help people remember the action plan is Algie, and he's a koala. He's not a bear, so that makes him a marsupial rather than.
Okay.
But the A in Algie stands for assess for risk of suicide or harm. The L stands for listen non-judgmentally. The G stands for give reassurance and information. The E stands for encourage appropriate professional help, and the second E is encourage self-help and other support strategies.
Oh, wow, okay.
But unlike the ABC of first aid of CPR, it's not necessarily a linear thing. So we don't usually start out by asking someone if they're thinking about killing themselves. We want to listen to them non-judgmentally and be able to understand whether there is somewhat of a danger, and then we assess for that risk. And of course require an immediate response if we feel that someone is actively suicidal. But it's important for people to be able to learn to ask that question. It's very uncomfortable. Nobody wants to ask someone, are you thinking about killing yourself?
Right.
But there are times when you really need to ask that question. Nobody wants to ask it also because they're afraid of the answer they're going to get. They don't want to, it feels like, I'm going to put myself in a position of being responsible for whatever the answer is.
And then what do I do?
And then what do I do? So,
and if I do that, if I do call the police and say, hey, I'm talking to somebody who's talking about killing themselves, hurting themselves, now that person's like, well, why did you go and do that? Why did you call the cops?
Yeah.
So
it takes 8 hours to train someone to do these things effectively, appropriately, non-judgmentally, to be able to really understand what we're trying to help people with and how to help.
Can I ask you what are some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to something like that? And how do I even know something like that's happening, that somebody's having some kind of a mental issue right now? How would I know that?
Well, the first thing we're looking for is changes.
Okay.
If you know someone who perhaps you've known them for a while and you notice that they've changed. They've started behaving differently. Maybe they were well-groomed and sharp dressers, and they kind of quit caring about how they look, and they become absent more often. Maybe they isolate. They just don't want to get out and be around people anymore. You know, those are some of the changes in behavior that we want to pay attention to and go a little deeper and find out if there's something that is bothering the person. And being able to ask some just real simple, open-ended questions. You know,
like what?
Well, I'm concerned about what I've seen lately, Paul, and I'm wondering if there's something bothering you that you might want to talk to someone about. And you know, we can be the person that they talk to, or we can refer them to a professional. And sometimes that progression happens where we say, you know, I understand that you're having some difficulties, and it's above my ability to really provide any help. So I'm going to try to. Would you be willing to let me connect you with some appropriate professional help? And you know, that's not real complicated.
Are there any big don'ts, things you should not do if you've encountered this situation?
Yes. We don't want to be critical of a person because of their illness. You know, you don't criticize someone who broke their ankle for having a broken ankle. Well, someone who's developing a serious mental illness doesn't have any control over that, and we want to be able to help them without judging, without criticizing, and we want to be consistent in our support. And remember that the person we offer help to today may refuse that help, but maybe a week from now or a month from now, they're going to come back and say, you know, you were right when you noticed that I was having some problems and you offered to help. What did you have in mind?
Okay, all right. I guess that's the first step, right, for somebody. Okay, you just kind of be there for them, right? And just
I think
be a good listener?
Yes, and I know that when the Mental Health Coalition had their program on May 18th at the Creative Life Center, and we had 11 individuals share their stories. For some of them, it was the first time they were sharing their story, but it had been bottled up inside them, and they felt better afterwards. It was a very healing thing. But for most of them, it came down to needing someone who showed them that they cared, and someone they could talk to. And you know, one of the women starts, or one of her comments is, in her performance was, you know, why did I want to kill myself? And it was because I felt like I didn't matter.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know, that ability to find someone who's willing to say to you, is there something going on that I can help you with? Or do you want to just talk? You know, I've noticed changes, I've noticed differences.
And that's enough.
And
right? I mean, that should make somebody feel like, I would think, that they matter, right?
Reaching out is a really important thing, and I think it's something that we are all operating on such busy levels in our society that we sometimes don't even notice when someone is having some kind of an experience. And so being conscious, and that's why I like the idea of a conscious caring community. It's a caring community that doesn't just care when you ask for care, but they're conscious and they're aware that something has changed. You know, we did a program at the high school last year, and it was a program by NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and it's called Say It Out Loud. And they give you the 10 signs of someone who might be experiencing an emotional issue. And that includes things like weight loss that Richard mentioned, isolation, risky behavior, you know, getting in the car and just driving 100 miles an hour. And whether you have an accident or not, you know, there's that rush that you got from it, or whether you're cutting yourself or harming yourself already. And I had a niece who, you know, did that. And so these are usually cries for attention or help, not attention in a negative way, but needing someone to say, what's going on?
Somebody needs help figuring something out. Okay, we got to take another break already. MentalHealthCoalitionVB.org. There's a class coming up, a mental health first aid class in Sedona at the Public Library. It's on July 7th, 8 to 5, room for 24 people. Call 649-0135. Stick around, countywide, back in just a couple minutes.
102.9 plays all the hits.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Ariana Grande.
Maroon 5.
This is Rihanna.
I'm
Shawn Mendes.
Hey, Bieber. You're listening to The Weeknd.
Start Start Journey's 10 songs in a row during your ride home with Julie Page.
Zach Sang Show.
Catch the Zach Sang Show weeknights 7 to midnight. And Kelly Fox weekends on your home for hit music. The Q102.9 and 104.9 in Prescott and Cottonwood.
This was me. And Mom and Dad. And my big brother Alex. And Jack. And this was the day that I learned that sandals get their name from sand. That jellyfish aren't made of jelly. That stars don't just come from the sky. That the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget that I was sick. And it changed everything. This was my wish.
I call you and say, I'm with the IRS. You owe back taxes, and if you don't pay today, you're going to jail. You can fix this by sending cash. Did you actually believe me? Too smart to fall for it? Well, last year, Americans paid $100 million to guys like me. 1 in 6 people were scammed. Can you believe it? Well, you shouldn't. I just made that up, too. You are a little gullible.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a few minutes left of the program. Let me give you that website again, phone number again. The class is coming up on July 7th from 8 to 5 at the Sonoma Public Library. It is a mental health first aid class. Phone number is 6490135, and the website is mentalhealthcoalitionbb.org. This is not the only class that you were involved in or that you offer.
Right.
So
the Mental Health Coalition Verde Valley has programs going on all year long.
Okay.
We have a Mental Health Monday, which takes place once a month, and we always have a speaker. This is part of our community education program. Our next one is going to be on June 26th, and it's going to be dealing with opioids and illegal and legal drug abuse. Okay. And so Marilee Fowler will be our speaker. And then we have a new program that this will only be the second time that we're doing it. Okay. It's a 6-week program for those who are diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's or other cognition issues. And so we'll be doing that July 12th for 6 weeks. That's on Wednesdays from 10:30 to 11:30 at Christ Lutheran Church. And again, it's the same contact information. And it's intended for the people who are experiencing these cognition issues, not for their caregivers, because there are a lot of other groups for them. But this is really for the people to share what they're experiencing.
Who are going through it.
Who are going through it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and we did it once already for 8 weeks, and now we're doing it again for 6 weeks. And yeah, because the people who are going through it, very often they're misunderstood at home, or they're dealing with these issues. But you put 4 or 5 of them together, and they start sharing what they're experiencing, and it gives them a whole feeling of. It's okay. I understand what I'm experiencing, and other people are going through the same thing, and it's less frustrating.
I was going to say it probably is very frustrating.
Yes, it is.
Until they probably go and actually get to talk about it.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's frustrating, and it's frustrating for caregivers because we don't always understand it. So that's what the caregiver group tries to help them understand what's going on, and our group tries to help those who are experiencing it share what they're experiencing. It's a peer support group.
Okay.
So we'll be starting that on July 12th.
Alrighty. Wow, that's a lot of information in 20 minutes there, isn't it, huh? But we did it.
It's on the website.
So
too.
hopefully, and Richard said before the show that these classes usually fill up, so that's a great thing. So there's room for 24 people. So again, let me give you the website. It's mentalhealthcoalitionbb.org, and I imagine all the classes that you guys offer are listed on there.
Yes.
I would imagine
yes.
so. Okay. Phone number to get a hold of Barbara and make a reservation for this is, or hold your seat, 6490135, and that's all we got time for.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for coming in, Richard. Good to see you.
Paul.
Barbara,
thank you.
Always good to see you.
Thank
so that's
you.
today's Countywide. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.